All right, welcome everyone to this first, maybe annual, maybe we won't want to do it every year. Let's hope not, right? Because there's a reason why we're here tonight on Gateway Sports to talk about the state of the St. Louis Cardinals. For those of you who've seen me before, no, this is not the other show. I'm on with the Gateway guys. They get my night tonight. And so joining me, we have co-creator of Gateway Sports and Derek King, host of the Derek King Sports Show. Rodney Knuppel, co-host of Stupidest Sports Show on Earth. That's one of my new favorites. We have several baseball conversations with this guy, Don Glenn, and I'm going to get it right this time, host of Talking Sports with Uncle Don.
That is cool.
I was screwing that up every week. On I believe I've been calling it by the old name. And with me, it's like he never left. Co-host for my co-host for the Team of Rivals podcast, Cubs fan. I'm going to get to that in a second. Cubs fan, but co-host of the Team of Rivals podcast in status. Yes, I asked a Cubs fan to join tonight just so we could get an outsider's perspective. I can tell you guys right now, I wouldn't have asked him to do this 10 years ago because it would have been unbearable. Because the Cardinals have just been knocked out of the division series, I believe, by the Cubs. So he would have not been tolerable, and we wouldn't have been able to do this. But 10 years later, he's gotten a little bit older, more mature, and so he's welcome on this Cardinals-only show. But I think it's important to get an outsider's perspective on all of this. So without further ado, we'll have time here at the end. We'll save some time for all your show handles and your Twitter handles and everything like that, right? So we're all Gateway folks here. So I want to start off with I don't want to recap 2025. I think that's probably been done, 200 times out there by other baseball creators, and we've certainly done it on Team Rivals podcast. I'm sure everybody, you see that fly over my head? I told you. I'm going to freak out on the show, and I'm going to jump out of my seat. That thing is huge. It's like a helicopter.
Ron Nuttall, Lord of the Flies.
Yeah. I don't know who left the door open, but anyway, so I don't want to have a 2025 recap. Like, a lot of us have already done that. We've probably heard a million of them already. So I want to take a broader look at really this organization. It's gone. We've seen a change at the top already, but we don't really know what that's going to look like yet. It's all been words. We haven't seen anything happen because we can't really, right? Season's technically not over yet. We still have a tournament called the World Series that we got to get out of the way, I think, before we'll really know if anything significant is going to happen. So I'm going to start at the top here. Derek, with you. Looking at the organization just in a broader sense, the direction of the franchise, culture of the organization, trajectory for moving forward. Where do you think the Cardinals are at right now?
I have a hard time following a lot of the heads on fire running around. It's the end of times. The trumpets have sounded. The velvet robes have parted. And the end of days have come. But it's definitely at the back end of how bad I think that this has gotten for the organization. It's clear that there was a change that has been needed organizationally for some time, that they're starting to kind of work their way through that. Now, what does that mean for the future? Obviously, we'll get a little bit further into that as the show goes on, but I think that really at this point in time, we've really, have essentially gotten to the bottom of what the problem is, and hopefully, crossing our fingers here, we've gotten to a point where we're going to start looking more forward and making a better plan for the future with some younger players. We already know they're not going to go out and spend big money on free agency. They're just not going to do that. That's just not the way that this organization works. They've said it in their pressers that that's not what they're going to do. So it definitely looks like this is more of a rebuild, but I don't see that it could really get much worse than what it really has been for the last couple of years.
Rodney, same question. It's very broad. If I let you guys, I think each of us could talk about this for an hour straight. But in a broad sense, where do you think they're at right now? A little bit of an indication. Where do you think they're headed?
Yeah. No, I mean, Derek is right.
Unfortunately, I think it could get worse, but not much, right? Like I think we could see it even worse attendance season than we saw this year. I really do. We know Cardinal fans are very point blank. Like if you're not going to win, we're not going to show up. Is kind of what they're showing right now. If you're not going to try, we're not going to show up. It's not necessarily winning. I may not have said that right, but if you're not going to try, or we aren't perceiving that you're going to try, we're not showing up. So the change is nice, and I know we're going to talk about the change and what that means, but I am going to go into this with an open mind of Bloom is going to progress this franchise to a higher level. Now, what that higher level is, I don't know, but I'm going in with an open mind and hoping that going forward, we've looked past these last 3 years because it's not in a great spot.
Don?
Well, I mean, I listened to the presser and when they introduced Bloom, and knowing where this organization has been the last 2 or 3 years, with the crazy front office dealings and things that have happened, and to hear him say that, I mean, it was like you said, the same, like Derek said, the same old thing, draft and develop. But I do think the one thing that I caught was that the statement that he made was that we are a draft and develop organization, but we need to be elite at not. I think it was not only that in dealing with our own players, but our evaluation of other teams. So I think we might see a little bit better down the road. Not going to happen overnight. Not going to happen tomorrow. I don't expect. Matter of fact, I'm working on a column now that my title is "Don't Expect Much," because I'm not expecting much, and it's not because I don't think they're going to do anything. We just don't know what they're going to do and how they're going to accomplish it.
All right. Last, certainly not least, Pete, if you could do one administrative favor for me, can you share this on our tour page as well? If you
Sure.
see it. But same question to you. Again, it's very broad. Go as deep as you want.
Look, I think, and I've been saying this to you for a while, I really do think that the Cardinals are going to have to bite the bullet. They're going to have to be honest with fans, and they're going to have to say that this is organizational rot, right? You've got rotten timbers in the foundation, and it needs to be torn down and rebuilt, and it's going to be unpleasant. I mean, basically what the Cubs did in 2012 when they hired Theo Epstein, and he came in and he said, we are going to rip this thing down to the studs, and it's not going to be fun for a couple of years, but down the road, it's going to pay off. The problem is that Cardinals fans, I think, have gotten so used to this being an elite organization that, will you continue to see what you've seen the last couple of years where they say, okay, well, we understand that you're trying, but I'm not going to pay for this. So, talk to me again when we're a success. And it may end up looking at Busch Stadium like it did at Wrigley Field in the 70s, where, Lee Ely is ranting because there are 5,000 people in the stands and they're all booing him for decisions that he's made. Yeah, of course, as a Cubs fan, I will relish every single one of those non-sellouts.
See, I trusted you. Okay.
You had to bring on the Cub fan.
I'm used to it. I've been tenderized over the last decade, so I'm like, it's not going to faze me at all. It is funny when you think about, Cubs fans were so happy-go-lucky, just good folks before 2015, and since they had that taste of success, boy, what a 3-year span it was. They were intolerable, including this guy, and I had to do this with him once a week for like 3 or 4 years until he mellowed out. But it's like, it must be getting over the 5-0. I think that must be the turning point. At the risk of me, like, one of the things the Cardinals have, I think, been guilty of is they've tethered themselves a little bit too much to past success, and they've done it for a long time. Like, they've milked that forever, it feels like. So I don't want to also tether myself to the recent trend, because I run the risk of doing the same thing, just in an opposite way, I guess. But I do think it's important to understand some of the things that have led to this, led to where we're at, why we're at the point we are now. I don't know if there's any fact behind this or not. It's just something I didn't have a lot of time to research it, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. I want to focus on Ballpark Village just for a second and all the developments around that are off the field but around the park. I know that was a big focus for ownership, I have to say they've done a nice job. Pete's even been there and seen the development around Busch Stadium, Busch 3. Do you guys believe that any of that has been a distraction? Just looking at the organization as a whole, has that stuff been a distraction? Because if I remember correctly, it was just before 2015, I think, when the main structure in Ballpark Village actually went up. And other developments like One Cardinal Way, the big apartment building and everything, that followed in the years later. You guys think any of this has been a distraction to the organization as a whole, where they've maybe eyeballs were on that part of the organization maybe a little too much and not so much on the field? Or am I just crazy? And I'm okay if you say that too.
I don't think you're crazy. And there could be some truth to what you're saying. But I think the push for Ballpark Village came from some of the other teams that were developing around their own stadiums. At Pittsburgh and a couple other places that I know that have put in outside developments.
I don't know if Pittsburgh.
I think maybe what's that?
I said Pittsburgh. I almost said Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. I don't know if that's the best example because.
Well, no, but I'm just saying. There's been other teams. That's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah. Okay.
But to say that it was, I don't think it was a huge distraction. I think it did at a point in time, at least give the appearance to the fans that it was their main focus and not the team, which I think they should have done a better job of trying to allay fans' fears on that. But yeah, I mean, anytime you've got something that's outside, that's a project like that, there's going to be some distraction here and there. I don't know how much of a part it played into everything. And I don't know how much finances actually were diverted from the team. I know they did have some outside investors in that as well. So who knows exactly what money came from the team. But as far as dividing their attention, yeah, sure, I probably have played a little bit of part in it.
Anybody else have a thought on that? I've always wondered, but I've never really asked or had a deep conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean, I distraction. I don't know if it was a distraction, but it's a money maker for the organization, which lessens the need to make money on the field, right? Like, if you're making money off the field, why, I know you want to make as much money as possible, but like, if that's making a ton of money, you don't have to worry about on the field as much, right? Like, and that's what we're saying. Like, do the DeWitts care if you win? Because you're buying the $9 beer outside the stadium, and you're paying $20 to eat your meal outside the stadium, and that's going back into the organization. So I don't know if it's a distraction or if it's more of a all right, we don't necessarily have to make all the money inside the stadium. Now we got this, and we're doing just fine. So, yeah, I think there's something to it. I just don't know if distraction is the word I would use, or if it was just a, I don't know, combination of things. So, yeah, it is a great question, though, Ron.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I don't know what I think either, to be honest. But if part of their rationale is, well, we'll build this incrementality for another revenue stream outside the park, right? And that'll bring stuff in. So winning, while still good, put a competitive team out there year over year. We don't have to go for everything now. Like, I don't know if anything I'm saying is making sense right now, because I haven't, like I said, I haven't spent a great deal of time thinking about this, but from time to time it would pop in my head. Now, if they think, well, it doesn't matter what we put on the field because we have all this other stuff now around the park, so we can make money regardless. I think that might have been what someone thought at one point. But if you look at this year, the lack of attendance, and I while not being there, maybe some of you guys were this year, I'm willing to bet that Ballpark Village was a little less full, or a lot less full this year, because that team brings all those people in, whether they're in the park or right outside the park. And when that team's not competitive, when they're not entertaining, and we watch baseball because it entertains us, right? And when it's not that, I don't know how much they're getting from that outer development. So I don't know. Pete,
Listen. I'll put it to you this way: winning cures all ailments. I mean, in St. Louis, we suffered with losing football with the Big Red. We suffered with losing football with the Rams. And yet people still loved it, and they showed up for a while until the writing was on the wall that those teams were going to leave for greener pastures. Let's not forget the early mid-ish 90s when the baseball strike had happened and how badly that hurt baseball. And let's not forget, those were the Joe Torre years. That was after Whitey Herzog. It was after Whitey Ball and all of the great success of the 80s. Then we get into that period. That was probably, I would say, the darkest time for Cardinals baseball, because that's when the Bush family was putting the team up for sale. Nothing was for sure, and we did not know what was going to happen because Busch Stadium was aging out. It was built in 1966 at that point, Busch 2. And it was getting to a point where, well, frankly, we didn't even know if we were going to have a baseball team in a couple more years at that stage.
wasn't there a threat that they were going to move across the river?
There was, and that was right around after the DeWitts had bought it. And in 1995, in 1994, and they were threatening in the late 90s to move them over to the Illinois side. And it was just laughable, to be honest with you, at the time, looking back at it. But again, at the time, we were really seriously worried. We were really concerned about, hey, our beloved Cardinals are going to go over to the east side and play in Illinois, and they're not going to be in Missouri.
Granite City Cardinals, who wouldn't want that?
Right. And
Edwardsville Cardinals.
It never did take, and to kind of play on that distraction portion with Ballpark Village, and what is this Ballpark Village version 17 or what? I can't remember how many versions it's been at this point.
They call it phases, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're all their phases, but the reality is yes, it has been a distraction. Yes, it has affected on-field product. It has, absolutely. And you're telling me that you're going to take hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars and dump it into a real estate program that you are financially responsible for the organizational success, and instead of taking that money and putting it into that team, either in player development or some other form, and I know Don's big on this too as well, you should have been investing there, but you were more worried about your real estate development plans because of the explosion of real estate values at the time and everything else that they were up to. So yes, I do believe it was fundamentally a distraction for the organization.
Okay. And I do like how you referenced the early 90s, right? Because that was pretty bad brand of baseball to watch.
It was really bad.
Although Greg Jeffries was kind of a cool first baseman.
That Todd Zeal, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they traded him to the Cubs. I still can't believe that they did that. But and then steroids saved baseball.
Yes. Yeah, I don't. And I'm a Mark McGwire mark. I'm the biggest Mark McGwire mark there ever was, and that man and Sammy Sosa fundamentally saved.
Trigger word for the Cubs fan up there. Watch it.
I'm telling you, they saved baseball. I don't care how people feel about it. Oh, they cheated. They did this and that and the rather. Had it not been for those two men doing what they did in the summer of '98, I don't even know if baseball would even be here right now at this point. But they literally saved baseball's life.
I think they accelerated the comeback for sure. Pete, you and I have talked about this before. I don't think baseball.
Yeah, we may need another one in 2028. So
that's right. We do have a CBA post 2026?
2027. We're probably going to lose that season.
It ain't looking good, boys. That's a whole nother show, though, right? All right, so got to move on a little bit. But thanks for entertaining my my strange thought there about Ballpark Village being a distraction, or derailing what the Cardinals do. But I think for all of those things to work to their maximum effect that ownership would want or any investors would want, they have to fix what's on the field, or there are going to be fewer people going there to put their dollars into those other developments. So hopefully, I know that Billy Sticks, I call him, BW the third. He did say message received in terms of attendance. If fans were trying to send that message to them, they've received it. I don't know if it took them to the end of this year to get it, or if they started figuring that out even last year. But it is shocking, the attendance drop. Anyway, I don't have that in here because it's depressing to talk about, although Pete likes to see those empty seats with glee. Okay. Rebuilding phase. So it's a word they haven't used. They haven't used rebuild. They still won't use that. But I kind of think most of you have alluded to it already. And Pete, you definitely have. I think they have to some degree, right? And they have to do it with risk. I'm not saying stupid risk, but they need to start taking some risks. This organization, out of all the ones I follow, are the most risk averse that I've ever seen, even in business. And you can say, well, that's smart, but it's also not exciting. When they do trade for a big player, it is a known factor. Like they traded for Nolan Arenado because he didn't have anything to prove. Neither did Paul Goldschmidt. Neither did Scott Rowland back in the day. But I'm talking about moves like, bringing in that pitcher that's only looking for a 2-year deal. I just don't see them doing enough like that. And it was on Derek Gould's podcast last week. I listen to that every once in a while. He had mentioned Nathan Eovaldi as being one prime example of that. Like they could have short-term deal, a lot of dollars, sure, but they just don't do that anymore. So what do you guys think? What does this rebuild look like? What is it going to look like in the next 2 to 3 years, that window specifically? What do you think is going to change? Or you can answer, what would you like to see? Because I know none of us have a crystal ball, but what would you like to see? Don, I'll start with you.
Well, I think I was kind of listening to Bernie Miklasz listening to a couple of his shows. And I think one of the things that he was talking about in what's the future of this club could be, he was mentioning things like, and I know a lot of people are wanting to see Marmol gone before the end of 26. Don't think it'll happen. And I think what you have seen so far in the minor leagues, which I just again on his show, he said that they already have been upgraded now to like 6th or 9th, depending on which source you're looking at, with four players in the top 100. That's a start, and that's where it has to start. I mean, like Derek made the comment about that player development, and I think that's also Heinblum's strong suit. Especially when you're talking about arms and pitching, which has been, I think, our glaring weakness, is we draft great kids, and they put up good numbers, sometimes great numbers in the minors. We bring them up, and they can't throw a ball through a paper bag. For the most part. Now, there's some exceptions. I think Graceffa is going to be good. I think McGreevy is going to be good. I think those two are going to be heavily counted on. As far as what else goes, like I said, I don't think we've got a clear picture yet. I know I can almost guarantee that the 3 top contracts are going to be shopped, especially now since you've got Sonny Gray said he is willing and open to a trade. He made that before the season was over. He said that before the season was over. So I think he's probably gone. What you get out of him, I don't know. But he's probably also the one that's going to get you the biggest return. I don't see Arenado being very attracted to too many other teams, especially teams that may have that are like St. Louis in terms of ballpark that are tough to hit the ball out of. Because that's always been his strength besides his defense. And you've seen his defense kind of slide slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Contreras, I don't see him sticking around.
No, I don't either.
We got too many young catchers.
I don't know why you would want to. Rodney, same
I mean,
question.
I-
like 2 to 3 year window here. What are you hoping to see? What do you think you'll see?
I mean, if you're asking what I'm hoping to see, I would like a 2-year contract on a Kyle Schwarber type guy. I mean, bring somebody in that's going to drive 100 runs in, right? Like I don't know. I'm all about like I want to compete now. You know, I'm not super patient if you're telling me that like you're going to not be very good for 2 or 3 years. We're the St. Louis Cardinals. We're supposed to be in this race every single year, right? Like I want to go get a big bopper. If I'm going to go to a game and they're not going to be very good, I want my kids to see somebody that might hit the ball at the ballpark twice, right? Like, I don't know. I guess that's what I'm looking at. There's entertainment value in bringing a guy like that in. Now, is it the right move for this franchise? Is it a smart move? I don't know, but we're fans. Like, we're not going to have all that answer, but do we want to see it? I do. I do. I want to see a guy. I want to see a Cal Raleigh type guy that, you know, where I'm coming to ballpark and he might make history tonight. What will happen? I think Don said it pretty good there. Like, we're probably just going to develop some players and we're going to get some young talent. And whether that young talent comes through or not, it's going to be the Randall Grichuk, the Stephen Piscotty, the Jordan Walkers. Like, they may come through, they may not. I think that's what's going to happen. But again, I'm coming in with this with an open mind on Bloom that he can develop these players. But that's my answer. I want to see a big bopper. I don't think we're going to see it.
Pete.
You know, honestly, I don't think that Rodney's entirely wrong. I don't think it would be a terrible approach. You know, you look for those guys whose markets have collapsed, who may be looking for that pillow contract. And as Derek said, that's not something that the Cardinals have traditionally done. But it wouldn't be the worst thing to bring in that guy. And if he catches fire and the Cardinals are going nowhere this year, you get to trade him at the trade deadline and maybe you get a couple more prospects and you do it again next year. And you sign that guy who is going to entertain the fans. And if you do manage to catch lightning in a bottle in a particular season, well, then great. You've got that guy in the middle of your lineup who's going to provide some excitement and who's going to drive in some runs. But if it's not working, you're constantly moving the ball forward. Yeah, you know, I don't think that you're rolling out the bargain basement lineup and rotation just because you're trying to build towards something. I mean, obviously, you're not the Pittsburgh Pirates. You want to put something out on the field that people want to see and are entertained by. But I think that you can serve two masters with that approach.
Derek.
So this kind of harkens me back to when they brought in Walt Jocketty, into 95. His resume, the late Walt Jocketty, at this point, he had passed away. And when they brought him in, he originally came out of the Oakland Athletics, formerly the Oakland Athletics farm system. He was the farm director. He was a development guy. And he was doing some kind of stuff odd and end with the Colorado Rockies into 1994 whenever they brought him in. And it was that perfect yin and yang with him and Tony La Russa. Tony wanted all of these free agent guys. He wanted all of the big boppers, the big power guys. Some of these guys with what the boys were just talking about a minute ago with pillow contracts and things like that could, hit some pop and, sell some tickets. But Jocketty was of the understanding, hey, it's going to take me 2 years to build this. So are they going to go more scorched earth and go, hey, we're going to go Pittsburgh Pirates way. We're going to just put the crappiest of crap out there we can just because it's going to get us to that 2-year mark? Or are they going to take the 1995, 96, 97, 98 Cardinal rule book of, hey, it's going to take us 3 or 4 years to develop this farm system, get it back up on the wheels that was just decimated over the last 10 years, and get this flow of solid, B plus, A minus, A type players in your organization to now that you can get them to that pinnacle where they're ready for the major leagues instead of just throwing guys out haphazardly like they have done the last few years. And the biggest issue is that, and we were just saying it, when you have a Jordan Walker and he's good, Dylan Carlson, he's good. Okay. Randy Arozarena, do we need to go down the list of players that either were formerly of the organization or still currently with the organization that struggled, but they've went on to do better things? Carson Kelly's had a decent career since he's left the Cardinal organization. You've got other players that have left and have done fairly well for themselves. Now, why is that? Is that a coaching problem? Or is that something else? I have a tendency to lean towards it's a fundamental difference in coaching philosophy from the minors to the majors. You have them that are teaching them how to play baseball down here, what to do. This is how you hit. This is how you field. This is how you pitch. And then when you get to the big leagues, nope, forget about it. We're going to do it completely different now. Everything that you've learned, forget about it. We're going to start over from scratch. That's what they got to get away from. That's what they need to go back to. And until they do that, and it's going to take Big Daddy Bloom a couple of years to be able to build this thing back. And he's going to have to trade Sonny Gray. He's going to have to trade these other players in order to get prospects in return to build this farm system back up. This is not going to be fun, and it's not going to be easy. Now, there might still be some upside, but that's where I think we're at.
So, all right, my turn. Nobody respects the studio, I tell you. Anyway, so my question, asking everybody here, asking myself, really, can you do two things at once, right? Can they walk and chew gum? Because I think they can still put a competitive, and this is the nebulous they've been caught in, right? Like, and they put themselves in this place, right? We're going to be competitive every year. We're going to compete, so we can't go through that real rebuild. Like, we can't go scorched earth, so to speak. When you guys mentioned that, but can they still do both things? Can they still improve their developmental system? Because I think everybody universally agrees scouting is not something I don't think that's broken for them. But I think it's beyond just that draft pick, developing them all the way through, I think has been an issue. There's been a lot more misses than hits. And we can certainly go down the list later if you guys would like, but because there's still a lot of question marks on some current ones too. But can they do both things at once? Do you guys remember a signing like Lance Berkman when they had him? And that was actually under the Mizalok era, right? But that's what we're not seeing. I think that's what we're highlighting. That's why signing Kyle Schwarber, at least under Mo, didn't seem realistic, right? But who didn't love Lance Berkman? Hated him when he was with the Astros. I loved him in 2011. He was soulless. He didn't feel the pressure in Game 6 when they were down 2 runs. You could see it in his eyes. He just felt nothing. It was soulless. And I miss players like that. Bringing in a Larry Walker towards the end of his career. Those guys were great veterans to have around. Will Clark, my favorite player of all time, brought him in at the tail end of his career too. Never thought you'd see him in Cardinals red right after getting into a boxing match with Ozzie Smith and Jose Oquendo at second base. But those are the things I miss. And I think they can do a little bit of that while rebuilding their system. I think that's doable. I don't know how much time they have, but we've been mentioning Heim's name. He's going to be a topic here, but starting with Pete, how much time does he have to show progress? I'm not sure. I'm not totally certain what that progress needs to look like, but how long of a leash is this guy going to get before improvement is made?
From the fans or from the ownership?
From the ownership.
I think the ownership will give him
fans. I can answer your fan question. That will be in May.
Yeah.
Right.
I think ownership gives him as much time as he, determines, as long as this initial contract is. And I don't know, do we know how long his contract is? I think he has at least that much time, because they picked him, right? They brought him in as an outside consultant, and then they crowned him as the next guy before the current guy was even out the door. So he's going to have as much runway as he needs. It's kind of going to be like Theo was with the Cubs. He came in 2012 and they suffered through 2 really rough years, and partially through a third one. Ricketts wasn't going to tell him that, we've had enough, because he was their pick, right? Heim is not somebody that the DeWitts inherited. And I think that, he clearly has their confidence. He's going to be given all the time in the world to make his vision become a reality. And if it takes 5 years, he'll be allowed the 5 years to make it happen.
Everybody agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think, like Pete just said, the DeWitts picked Bloom, brought him in 2 years ago. I think they had this figured out 2 years ago what they were going to do. They already knew what they were going to do when they hired him.
I think most fans.
So
I think most of us fans who saw him be brought in from the outside kind of assumed the same thing was going to happen. So you're right.
So yeah, I
really,
as long as he's showing progress, he'll get as much time as he needs.
Rodney, you got a thought on this?
Money.
Wasn't sure if you were shaking your head. Yes, no, maybe so.
Oh, I agree. No, I agree with all those guys. I don't see the DeWitts having a short leash with him by any means. I mean, we've seen how these last 3 years have played out. I would be hard pressed to think that he's going to have a short leash. And then and I know we're going to talk about Ollie, but that he's going to be some of the scapegoat, initially. So when does that leash even start for him? Or is the first leash going to be Ollie? I think that's a big question as well. So I think he's got 5 years comfortably that he's going to make this, and you need to see progress during that time.
Yep, I agree. I agree with just about everything you guys said. Heard Ollie's name thrown out there a couple times. So that was another topic I wanted to get to you guys on. He's currently, I believe, in the final year of his contract. He was extended, I think, before last year. So technically, I guess a lame duck. I don't know if that'll last going into the winter or spring training, or if they'll extend him further, because there is a problem with having a lame duck manager, right? We saw it happen to Don Mattingly with the Dodgers. We've seen other examples of very hard to lead that group when they know that your time there is likely limited. So I anticipate they'll probably extend him. Now, extending a manager and a player are two different things, right? You can extend a manager for 125 years, and you can cut him loose in year 2, and it's not that big of a loss, right? It's not that big of a commitment. It's not against your luxury tax limit or anything like that. But what do you guys think here? I don't know if a change in manager right now is. Well, first of all, let me go around the room. I don't give my opinion out right now. I told myself privately I wouldn't lead you guys down my thought. I'm not going to leave you breadcrumbs because I want to hear from you guys. Ollie Marmol, 2026. What do you guys think? And I'll start with you, Derek.
Gone
before?
He's already gone. It's just he's just not officially gone. The reality is they need somebody to pin this on. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's what they're going to do. They've brought Yadier Molina in. Yadier Molina is the heir apparent successor to Ollie Marmol. It's a slam dunk. I mean, anybody that has been watching this long enough, with the social posts, with everything that they've been putting out there, they are telegraphing this. I mean, it's like a Mike Tyson punch to the jaw. It couldn't be any more prominent. This is what they're going to do. And I think that, again, they're going to let him hang probably all season. There might be to where they let him go at the All-Star break kind of thing. Just to, hey, clean out house. Let's get it all done before the end of the season because we know we're not going to make it anywhere kind of thing. And let's get Yadier Molina his opportunity to get his guys in here, get situated, get ready for the end of the season, get ready for the off season, get ready for spring training. And I think that's probably more than latter what's going to end up happening with Ollie Marmol. I think he's gone. I think he's a dead man walking. I think he's already it's over. And I think that's
where's my
opinion.
Dead man walking sound clip that I should have loved. Right, but okay. Well, we didn't invite Derek on for a wishy-washy opinion, that's for sure. So he has one.
You didn't.
What about you, Rodney? Ollie Marmol.
I have less faith that that's the case, and yeah. But first of all, are we sure that Yadier Molina has been brought in? Because I know there was talk about it, right? Like there was rumor. Has it become official?
No, I have not seen an official posting
Right.
on anything. Maybe you guys have.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, no, and so we can bring up a lot of different ways how this is going to work with Yachty. Like number one, the elephant in the room is awkward, right? Like awkward for Ollie here. So like, yeah, if Yachty's brought in, Derek's point is probably going to happen, but I'm not so sure Yachty's dying to come in here and do this. Like, I think we, and it may not be us five, but we as Cardinal fans are like thinking that he wants to be manager more than maybe he does want to be manager. I mean, there's a lot of things Yachty might want to do. What is he, 40 years old, or maybe not even that yet? So I don't know. I'm not. I have less faith that Ollie's gone. I think he'll last through the year, and I think they'll talk extension. I really do. They love him. I think DeWitts love him because he'll do what they want him to do.
Yeah, if you're absolutely right that fans will jump to that. We'll jump to that assumption. Oh, he was a great Cardinal. He would love to come back. That is not a guarantee. I don't even know if it's a good idea. He was a great player. He was a great on-field commander, quarterback, whatever you want to call him. Like he was that guy for them, and the results were way different when he was healthy and in the lineup and catching versus when he wasn't. You just go look it up. But I'm not sold on that completely either. So, but before
I mean, we've heard this before. Like the best players aren't always the best leaders. We know this, right? When you get to coaching and managing, and you know, I know it's cliche, and there's a lot of examples of this: the Magic Johnsons, the Larry Birds, and basketball more than baseball. But I'm not sure either. And I think a lot of fans think it's going to happen more than it actually will.
Barry Bonds, shitty hitting coach, one of the best hitters that ever lived. Right?
Not good at all.
Right, Pete.
Personally, I think Ollie sticks around until Heim thinks that he has his team. It's a cheap, easy way to keep things consistent and to not rock the boat. And if the DeWitts do like him, then you keep him in that seat. But once Heim thinks, okay, now I have my team, he's gone. And whether that comes during the offseason, 2 months into the 2027 season, whenever it is, I see Heim making the same move that the Cubs made when they brought in Joe Madden and that they made when they brought in Craig Counsell, right? Oh, we love Renteria. We love Joe or we love David Ross. But we can get our hands on a better manager, so we will.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you went there. Instead of letting me ask you why, do you have a real world example of this happening somewhere?
I've got two.
Wanted to lead you into it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did bring up two. That's happened twice. So I feel like that's, if I had to guess on how that's going to take place, that's probably the lane I'm choosing. But Don, saved you for last on this one.
I kind of see it both ways. I can see, like Derek's saying, they're wait till after see what they do in the off season, maybe gone before the season starts, maybe gone at mid-season. I tend to think he will hang around all season. Just again, listening to what Bernie Miklasz was talking about, that he and Bloom now have a relationship, so to speak. So I think he'll give him that year to see what he can do with the players and the system that Bloom wants to bring in. But I'm also like Pete. As soon as Bloom thinks he's got what he needs player-wise and system-wise, he'll get his manager that he wants. Whether that is Molina or not, that's another story.
Yeah. Yep, that's a good point. Speaking of managers, I mean, there's always another option if you can bring him out of retirement, and that would be Mike Schilt, right? Guys, what do you think about this one? Mike Schilt retiring, stepping away from San Diego, only to learn that he left kind of in the same way that, I mean, his choice, of course, but eerily similar to his departure with the Cardinals. From if we believe what has been reported on this, he's got a little temper, right? You'd never know that guy in the glasses. Who I've always said that he buys every extra product protection he can buy whenever he buys a speaker at Best Buy. That's what he seems like. That guy will buy all the insurance. how does this land on you? Does it change your perspective? Because it certainly did for me on how Schilt left the Cardinals, given what we know about why and how he left San Diego. How's that changed for you guys? Rodney, I'll start with you.
Yeah, no, I'll start. Yeah, I mean, it definitely changed. I wasn't one that, I know there's been a lot that are like, oh, they let Schilt go, a successful manager. Yeah, he was successful. Did he get him over the hump that, we as fans want? Not necessarily, right? Like, got him there. And so there was a lot of bashing about letting him go. I wasn't really part of that, but now it is like looking back on it, it's like, okay, maybe Mo did know what needed to happen here, because there's obviously something, whatever he did, but there's yeah, you're right. Schultz got a little bit of an issue. He's got a temper issue. He's got a more of a leader, I'm the leader, nobody else is type mentality. And that you can't do that. You can't do that, especially in this society in 2025. 20 years ago, maybe that would have worked, right? Like, you could have probably found your way through it had you won 90 games every year, but now it just doesn't work, right? Like, everything you do, everything you say will be out there and will be held against you. So it just doesn't work anymore. That type of manager does not work.
Derek?
Going back to what we were talking about before, it lends into this. Yadier Molina. Everybody forgets the big dust up they had and how everything got real ugly in the clubhouse between all of them. And I've never forgotten that. And I remember when he was let go, and I thought, man, that's got to have something to do with it. He's lost the clubhouse. He's clearly lost one of the most well-respected, probably one of the greatest catchers this organization has ever had. And when that happens, I have a tendency to scratch my head. But then now these reports come out of San Diego that it was, the leader of men type of situation. And here we go again, losing the clubhouse, losing the veteran leadership. So I think that it's clear that the writing was on the wall then. It's just become more prominent now.
Right. I don't remember the dust up with Molina, but if you recall 2021, they did make it to the playoffs that year. I think they survived. They lasted a round, I believe. But it was a little bit of a mirage that season. Remember, they won 17 games in a row. I think it was either span of August, September, and they put themselves in a better position. But that team wasn't that great that year either. They just went on a heater at the end of the year and got themselves in playoff position, but it didn't last very long. But he was let go shortly after. But I got to say, I feel like I don't give Mo a lot of credit for a lot of things. Let's say I give him a lot of credit for this one because he didn't say anything publicly about it other than he called it philosophical differences. Like, he didn't throw Schilt under the bus. He knew Schilt probably wanted to continue managing, and if those facts were out there, it would have been a more difficult time for him probably to land a job. So I'll give Mo a little bit of credit there as he leaves the organization. I think I didn't at first. I thought, wow, Schultz, the baseball guy, he's the last person that kind of lived to the George Kissel expectations in the way that baseball should be played, and that's about doing the little things right. That's actually the Cardinal way, not whatever the internet has turned it into now. But that was Cardinal way of playing. Mo deserves some credit for taking the full punch for that whole situation. Pete, we talked about it on our show. I think I know your thoughts on this one. I think we got a kick out of it because what Mike Schilt looks like on camera sure as hell isn't what he's like in the clubhouse, evidently. So, but if you want to rehash what you had said about him, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think I'd refer people to our episode this past week for a more fulsome exploration of my thoughts on it. But I loved it. I loved this thought that, here was this mild-mannered guy that we all thought was, you could get under his skin every once in a while and he would lose his shit. But for the most part, he was Mr. Medium, right? And clearly he's not. And yeah, I was kind of excited by the revelation that that Mike Schilt is a bit of a hothead. Strange new respect, I think, is the phrase.
Strange new respect.
That's
I
right.
like that. Don, Mike Schilt was not on the bingo card for tonight, but since that news happened, it's something that happened after we kind of thought we were going to have this round table. I guess I'll get your thoughts on Mike Schilt too. Take it he wasn't your favorite manager, but you thought he was pretty good.
For the time he was here and what he got thrown into, I think he did a pretty good job, really. We don't know all that went on in the clubhouse here or San Diego. All we get is the reports, and that could be sour grapes. I don't know. Does it change my feeling on him and how he left St. Louis? Not really, but obviously there's a factor that's got to play into it. But I'm kind of neutral on it per se.
Oh, I see the fun in it. That's why I loved it. And I've had my own issues with San Diego, and it's irrational. I'm not even going to get into it here, but it isn't rational at all. Rule 5, man, they're masters at that one. All right, guys. So we're getting up close to an hour here. So I want to go switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the players we have. I'm talking players like Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, these other players that they've developed, maybe not well. You see them staying or going, and is this the kind of thing that the organization needs to change its position on? And I'll point to a couple players like somebody brought up Grichuk earlier. I think that was an excellent example. O'Neill, like holding on to these guys just too long when it's pretty clear, and it's clear to most of the fan base too. Of course, it's not clear to me these days because I muted every Cardinals fan on X as I do annually when the season's over because I can only take so much. But what players are you looking at now that are on the current roster? You see them as short term, or are they in for the long haul? And I'll start with let's just start with Nolan Gorman. Derek?
Nolan Gorman, I still see an upside there. I still see more power. I think I see him as a 40 home run, 35. He's kind of in that kind of Jim Edmonds, Matt Holliday range, I think, as far as a hitter is concerned. I think he's plateaued defensively. I just don't really think you're going to get much more out of him in that department, but I definitely think there's more to the bat in that department for him with Gorman. Especially with right-handed pitching. He just tees off on right-handed pitching. His contact numbers are a little bit down on right-handed pitching. Contact numbers a little bit up, I believe, on left. But he definitely swings more to contact with a left-handed pitcher. So I would see developmental-wise more of an uptick in power, get to that kind of 35, 40 home run range. As long as he gets consistent at bats, he stays healthy, I think that's where he's going to be at.
Rodney, what about you? Nolan Gorman?
If I had it my way, I would send him out. I don't know as if we're going to get the best out of Nolan Gorman and if this is what Nolan Gorman is, he's not going to be on a championship team here, right? But everything, all these answers come with a price, right? Like, okay, you can't just get rid of him, you can't just release him, you can't trade him for nothing. So, obviously that plays a factor, but I am more than okay getting rid of almost everybody on this roster outside of about 3 to 5 guys. Now, that's not going to happen, but I'm on the side of Nolan Gorman can go, and I would be just fine with it.
Pete, don't know if you have a strong opinion on this one, but Nolan Gorman's on your roster, and we have a couple years to look at now. It's not like we have a small sample size anymore. Like, we got a pretty decent one. Nolan Gorman.
From what I've seen, I think that he's a serviceable major leaguer, but I agree with Rodney. I don't think he's going to be your second baseman or your third baseman on your next Cardinals championship squad. Or I should say the next Cardinals squad that makes a deep run into the playoffs. Let's not set the threshold at the championship. And I think that this goes beyond Nolan Gorman and just kind of is my answer for everybody that you're going to ask about. The one thing that I think that the Cardinals, and we've talked about this a lot, Ron, the one thing that think the Cardinals radically need to improve on in the years ahead under Chaim Bloom is their internal self-scouting, right? Their
Yeah.
assessment of
Yep.
players, because it's something that they've missed on again and again and again over the last decade. And it's guys like Nolan Gorman. Well, not Nolan Gorman, because he's at least been serviceable and has stuck. But guys like Jordan Walker, Rosarina, Grichuk, all those guys who they either got it right on or they got it wrong on. And most of the time they got it wrong.
Don, you perked up there.
I'm gonna agree with Derek. I think. I'm sorry. You all right? Am I here?
Yep, we hear you. Yeah.
You guys are kind of freezing up on me, so I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. I'm kind of agree with Derek. I think that I do see still an upside in Gorman, but I'm a little bit different in the fact that I think if he's got maybe this year to get it turned, to turn that corner and show because how long did we say O'Neal still has potential? O'Neal still has potential. We don't want to get locked into that with Gorman. I think he's got about a half a year to get it under control and show progress. Otherwise, he's gone at the deadline.
Okay. I think he's on the roster at the beginning of this year, because I'm not sure what they're going to get from him. He didn't, I'd say he didn't get to put in a full season last year. So I think whatever you're going to get for him right now is extremely low. But I agree also.
That's the other knock on him is his health.
Yeah, true. I mean, he hasn't played a 140 game season yet, but I still think the sample size is large enough. If you put it all together, we kind of know what we're getting in him. And Gene on the chat, he did mention no improvement since day one. I'd have to agree with that. Like, he's not substantially better than what he was in his rookie year. He's not a very good contact guy. Does have pop, but when he's off, right? And I haven't seen enough, and I don't think I'm going to. But I also don't think they're going to be able to. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe it'll be part of a package deal or something. But I think in 2026 he probably sees another. He sees another uniform in 2026. And it won't be with the Cardinals organization. Jordan Walker. I'm assuming I'm going to hear a little bit of the same thing here, but he's a different player. Just as high expectations, I think. We've seen a couple years of him now. It hasn't been great. But let's go in reverse order here, Don, with Jordan Walker.
I think with Jordan Walker, there's two reasons why I say he gets a little bit more of an extension with me. First of which is they screwed this kid up from day one when they brought him up. They had him screwed up from day one. And it's taken him this long. I mean, because they make him switch positions, then they bring it to the major leagues. Oh, but you're not hitting home runs hard enough, so we're going to send you down so you can increase it. Leave the kid alone. His exit velocity, his line drives, the home runs are going to come eventually. Let the kid get comfortable up here. They didn't do that. I think I don't think he's still what, 23,
23?
23, 24.
Yeah.
He to me, I've got him in for at least another year or another couple years with some proper development. And I did see something that I'll again refer to Bernie Mikolas. Start him at Memphis this year. Don't bring him up at the big club. Get him at Memphis, get his head screwed on right, get his development right, then bring him back up. And then I think you got a player for at least three or four more years.
Well, I don't know. Starting him off in Memphis this year sounds like could have the reverse effect. I don't disagree that. Hey, can he get maybe a little bit better development, less pressure in Memphis? But I think if he starts off there after spending basically 2 full seasons with the big club, I don't know how that's going to help him. I don't see that, but
I think he's young enough where he can adjust. He's proved he's got a maturity beyond his age. I think he'll be able to deal with it if they present it to him correctly.
Well, the other question I was going to have is, who are you going to play out in right field now that's really going to perform substantially better? And that's the other part of it I struggle with. So I think he starts the year off in St. Louis. And to me personally, just my opinion is that's the best thing for him. Like, there's going to be no pressure that you're going to be sent back down, but you're going to stay here and we're going to run you out there every day, and you're either going to figure it out, or we'll find out this season if you can find that turning point. If you can figure it out, that we'll look for that light bulb to go off in your head. And if we don't see it in 2026, then I think we call it what it is. That's just how I feel about it. Rodney?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I said with Nolan Gorman, I'm willing for anybody to go, but I do have probably a longer leash for Walker than I do Gorman here. But I mean, we're all in the same boat. Like we just need to see him be better, and so I'm okay keeping Jordan Walker. But if you were able to find something, bye Jordan, right? Like, and that goes for everybody, and that's pretty common, pretty easy answer. But I do have a longer leash with him than I do Nolan Gorman.
What about you, Pete? He is still pretty young, and I agree with you. The way they handled him when they brought him up was awful. But go ahead.
I'm going to disagree with you guys. If I'm Hein Bloom, I call him into my office and I say, Jordan, this organization has not done you any favors. And I can't imagine that the trust on your end is very high because we have yanked you around for the last 3 years. And I'm going to do you a favor and I'm going to shop you and I'm going to send you to a different home because I think that a change of scenery is what you need. I don't think that you're going to reach your potential here because I don't know that you're ever going to trust this organization. And I'd be very upfront with him on that. And it's not that we've lost faith in you. I think you're going to be a great hitter. I just don't think that you're going to reach your full potential somewhere else. And so I think it's going to benefit both the organization and you if you go somewhere else and let him get a fresh start with another organization and be upfront with it, not only with him, but also with Cardinals fans and with the media. We're giving Jordan a new start because we haven't done right by him, and he deserves better.
See, let me clear this up for you folks. Pete just wants to hear a Cardinals official say that out loud. I mean, like, so it might be the most responsible thing, but Pete's doing it from an angle that he's cloaking it here. He just wants to hear.
No, honestly, selfishly, please keep him and have him suck in right field for another year, please. Right? Have him be lost and not know what his swing is supposed to be. But honestly, like this is from an honest perspective, he deserves another shot. And it's not with the Cardinals organization. I don't think he's ever going to reach his full potential in St. Louis.
And I think we've stated that on our show a few times, right? Yeah. Derek.
Frankly, I think you can go both ways. I still say you keep him, and here's the reason why. If you look at his splits and really dig down into the data of what he did last year, early on in games, when he got behind in counts, whenever he was trying to do the whole launch angle thing, which is where they are pushing a lot of these players to get in the major leagues. You want to elevate the ball. You want to push it up. You want to pull it. You want to do this. The reality is if you go and you look at the data on the splits and you look at where he was at, when he's ahead in the count, he is smashing the ball. Whenever he's got a guy on third, he's not doing that great. Runners in second and third, first and third, he's not doing good. But when the bases are loaded, he's knocking the cover off of the ball. When he's got him in scoring position, he's just, he's kind of okay. But when he's using the fundamentals, because obviously humans are creatures of habit, and when we learn something, it's programmed into our brain. It's a natural reactionary response that we have. And he's going back to, hey, I've always learned square up, close my stance, hit the ball solid and clean, and push it. Push it to an open spot. Pull it to an open spot. And in the data on the splits, it shows that. It shows where he's putting the ball, what his batting averages are, what his slugging, OPS, everything. And I think that because, again, it's been brought up in this conversation, they've screwed with his brain to a point where he thinks, I've got to go up here and I've got to hit this launch angle early in the game. But he knows when the game's tight and we got to score a run, and I got to fall back on the fundamentals that I was taught in minor league baseball and in high school, This kid's still 23. He's 23 years old. I would even go with the rest of the boys, against the Gorman thing and say, hey, yeah, I mean, it could go either way. He's 25, soon to be 26, but this guy's still a kid. And
Yeah.
he's still got so much more ahead of him. And I think that's really what we need to look at.
That's ultimately why I give him more time, is because he's so young. What Gorman, I think we know what Gorman is, right? That, again, just my opinion, but okay. Well, I know there's more players we could definitely go through, but I know that we're up on an hour here. I don't want to take everybody's time up and run too late tonight. But so I don't really have a final question, but it's just more of thoughts in general, right? Like, this offseason is going to be in a lot of ways, the offseason is going to be more exciting than in season this year. 2025, 2024. I mean, these are forgettable years, right? Like, we probably won't remember much about them. The thing we'll remember about 2025 is that was Mo's last year. If we could fast forward a decade from, we're not going to remember it for much else. In 2024, we're not either. 2023, we'll remember, because that's the year they really fell off the cliff, right? They sucked. It was a disaster. Okay, this winter, what kind of tone do you think will be set, if any? Start with you, Don. What do you think you're going to see from the organization in the offseason? A bunch of wholesale changes?
I think you're going to
go ahead.
Well, I don't. You're not going to see wholesale changes. You are going to see him shop, but I think they're going to actually start shopping more for what they need instead of settling for what they can get. I think that's always been Mo's problem, was he's waited too long to pull triggers on stuff. I think Heim, when he's going to have deals,
right? Or he's pulled them way too early.
Huh?
He's
done it both ways, but I'm talking like on free agents and stuff. He's waited way too late a lot of times to pull the trigger on guys. I think if it's going to be free agents that Bloom is going to go with, he's going to get those guys early. He's not going to wait and get boxed into taking the C option when he had A and B still available. I don't think you're going to see him as milk toast.
No.
As for the lineup coming in, it's going to. Yeah, as far as the lineup coming in, I think you're going to see pretty much what you saw last year with whatever additions he can make that will be beneficial to the team. Hopefully it's in pitching.
Rodney?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll see a little bit different team. What that means, I don't know. Like, I don't know who he's going to be going after. I do think you'll see some changes, because I think he will want to show some progress, like whether it is actual real progress or not. I think he's smart enough to realize, hey, they are, they being the fans, they are a little uptight about this team. Let's make some changes, whether it's good or bad. I think there will be some changes, and the pitching will have to be different, Don. I mean, it's got to be different. So you'll see a different rotation, and I think you'll see 2 or 3 new lineup members. Who they're going to be, I think that's a better question for later in the probably more winter, but I think you'll see some changes.
Derek?
I think you're going to see changes. I think that you're not going to see the bargain bin basement dealing that a lot of times you saw from Mozeliak over the last few years. I do think they go out and they probably pick up a couple of pitchers. I think they're going to pick up a couple of relievers, whether it's via trade or free agency or something of that ilk. But they're not. I want to preface this. They are not going to sign players that have qualifying offers. So if you look at the sheets in free agency, they will not be picking up players that have qualifying offers against them, because that means you're going to have to give up draft capital. That's the one thing they don't want to do. So I would say you're probably looking at guys that are that kind of C+ to B- tier range, because of how much money they're going to call for on a contract based off where they're going to be at in their service years. So I would say yes. I think you're going to be picking up pitching. I think you're going to be picking up relievers, a couple of relievers, maybe 3. I think you're going to pick up a couple of starting pitchers, because I don't think that the starting pitchers that you have are ready. And we've seen from the current rotation and what we have in depth in the farm system and coming up from AAA, it's just not there. You can't be running guys out there that are going sub 5 ERA, north of 5 ERA, that their whip is, out through the roof. You just can't do that. And so you've got to get these guys that are going 5-6 innings plus, and they've got to be having a sub 4 ERA. That's where you need to be. And I think that's where they go.
Pete, on to you. You cannot use the term whip.
I was going to use it in another context, but since you said I can't. No, I think all phone lines are open and operators are standing by to take your call. So and creative offers will be considered. I think that you probably will see free agents signed, but I think with the uncertainty that's coming with the CBA negotiations, I don't think that you're going to see many, if any, contracts signed that go beyond a year unless they are heavily laden with club options ending after 2026. Because I just don't see, and I don't think this is unique to the Cardinals. I think most teams are not going to extend themselves long term with the player unless they are convinced that that player is going to be able to make an impact with them, and that they are committing that kind of money to that player over the long term. I don't think you're going to see a lot of teams taking a shot, with, okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll give this guy a 10-year contract, which has been standard operating procedure over the last several years because that's what it's taken to nail down a free agent. I don't think we're going to see that this offseason. And I certainly don't think that we're going to see the Cardinals doing that. And similarly, I think that you're going to see and hear pretty much every name is available, even though Wilson Contreras said he wants to stay in St. Louis. Wilson's on the trade block. You're not going to get much for Arenado, but Arenado's there. And you're also going to see it, I think, all the way down too, right? Because there is some team out there that would love to get one of the young guys who came up through the Cardinals system and just hasn't hit in the majors. And maybe they can hit a bargain with a guy as a change of scenery.
Trade for their next outfield all-star.
Yeah.
Why not go to St. Louis for that?
That's right.
Speaking of free agents, we're about off of here, guys. But a couple things we can get to, but maybe as you do your shows later in the week or the weeks following, a couple things of talking about free agents. I know in the chat that is out there on the Facebook group, there's been some colorful conversation around Cardinals and why they don't get this guy or that guy. And I saw Bryce Harper's name thrown around out there, and I kind of laugh at that stuff because I'm like, it's a two-way street. Just because you're the Cardinals and you have the money to spend on a contract does not mean that player wants to come there. And I go back to the Bryce Harper example. I don't think there was any chance in hell that St. Louis was going to finish that race on top and retain Bryce Harper. I don't think it was possible. I laugh when people mention stuff like that because like that's not the way they did it. The Cardinals always did it by trading for the guy, getting him into the organization, seeing full stands and competitive baseball. And that was their formula for keeping guys. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So I don't usually involve myself in those kind of chats back and forth. We're talking about free agents, especially like A-listers. They're not going to do that on the open market. They've never won anything. Like point examples all the way back to like Kevin Brown when he was a hot free agent, Mike Hampton. Like they never win these battles because somebody's always willing to swoop in at the last minute and throw stupid money. And that's all it takes. Look what Boston paid for when they pulled the rug out from under them on David Price. Cardinals just weren't going to go that high. So that's not a thing. Pete, we've talked about that 1,000 times. This is not going to happen. Didn't get to that tonight, but that's okay. But since I've kept you guys on here for over an hour now, I'll go ahead and run through. Rodney, you want to tell everybody on here about your show, where they can find you and Tim?
Yeah, so I run my Tim and I are the stupidest sports show on earth. Yes, it sounds stupid, and it is, and that's what we are here for, to kind of be the quote unquote stupid sports fans that just talk sports. Like we're not bringing a bunch of nerd numbers at you. We're talking sports and bringing it pretty honest to you. So you can find us at that Twitter account, no W on the end, Stupid Sports Show, SHO at the end on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I am also on there personally. My last name, KNUPPELRODNEY. And we're on Tuesdays, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. So I would love to have you guys join us.
Excellent. Uncle Don.
Oh, thanks. No, yeah, you can find me on Twitter or X, whatever the hell they call it these days, at TSOTBGCS. I have two podcasts. I have Talking Sports with Uncle Don, and then I have the NCAA Report with I do with Russ Robinson. Kind of alternate those 1 week one, 1 week the other. And then you can also find me, if you're an Illini fan, you can find me in the Champagne Room. I'm doing some writing for those guys as well. So.
I can't say it. Derek, you're next.
Well, per usual, you can find me in the dusty, grungy halls of X, Derek King Sports, over on Facebook, Gateway Sports, and obviously gatewaysports.net. Go and check it out, that website and everything we got going on over there. I'm always kind of popping in on shows, and I always do special edition stuff, so you just never know where you're going to catch me. I've taken a little bit of hiatus on my show over the last few months just for retooling and, a lot of other different reasons, obviously. But, we're going to be getting back into it, and we're going to be doing some regular programming and stuff like that. But that's where you can find me on the socials and on the website and everywhere else in between. Just keep your eyes open.
And before you go, Pete, and you've got this all memorized, so I want you to do it exactly like you do ours. Arlington has been active on the chat in here. I just pulled the chat window up, so apologize, Arlington. I would have probably thrown some of these questions at the panel here, but I just opened it up and just saw this, but I'm already at the tail end. So we'll get you next time. We'll have to do a part 2 because there's still a lot of other stuff I would have liked to have gotten to, but we're not going to be able to do it tonight. So Pete?
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
You want me to do it like I do it for the show?
Maybe not.
All right, too late. You already said it. If you enjoyed this chaos, or if you just enjoy the sound of our voices, you can leave a comment, peck or slap that subscribe button, drop a 5-star review, and tell literally everyone you know. You can catch Team Rivals podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else podcasts hide. And you can watch us live every week on X, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. And we've made it really simple for you. Just look for Team of Rivals Pod, and you'll find us everywhere.
That deserves an applause.
He is top of the class at the semi-pro intro outro. He's got really, really sharp over the years, and AI has only helped. He's open about that. Don't worry.
He's not wrong.
He's not. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for the time tonight. Again, as Derek said, you can check out everything Gateway Sports has to offer. Just go to gatewaysports.net. You can find them by name with an underscore behind it out there on X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find me. Just look for my name. Crying out loud. It's out there. I'm on X, Instagram, Facebook. Would love to have you all follow me. But you know what? We'll have to do it again. We'll have to do a part 2. There was still stuff to get to. Maybe we'll get some extra members on here, because I know that if there's one thing I've noticed on the little chat room is there's no shortage of opinions on Cardinals baseball on that thing. So would love to hear from some of the other guys. Maybe we can round them up next time we get together and do this. But you guys have a good evening, and we'll talk to everybody else very soon. Love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.